Hello, everybody. It is great to be here again one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've been involved in 17 startups. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread at GSD around the world, but opportunities aren't. GSD stands for Get Shit Done Venture Studios, of which I'm the CEO and president. So today I'd like to introduce Pranav Sanghvi. Pranav is a investor. He's a certified scuba diver. And today we're going to talk about the ecosystem in India and what it's like. So with that, I'd like to bring Pranav on. Hi, Pranav. How are you?
Hi, Gary. Hi, nice to catch up again. Wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So, okay, tell me about the scuba diving. Where do you go scuba diving?
Oh, it's quite interesting actually. I was on a boys' trip in Indonesia. That's where I first got curious about it, and I wanted to get certified. So I traveled to Sri Lanka, did a dive there, and then eventually I was on my way to Egypt to get certified. So I did both of my certifications, the beginners and the advanced, at this beautiful place called Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt.
Oh, I know
And
Sharm.
yeah, I spent a good.
I know the place, so I know that a lot of Russians would go to Sharm el Sheikh and for their vacations. So, did you see any of the lionfish? Did you see any fish down there that were quite curious for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, on the contrary, there's way too many lionfish, especially on the night dives, and you need to be careful. You can't, you shouldn't touch them, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of them. You should visit sometime if you're interested.
Now, how deadly are they, Pranav? Because you hear the stories about the lionfish. In fact, we have some of those down in Florida because people's aquariums during the hurricane had sometimes spilled out, or people would put them into the ocean. But how dangerous are they? So, what's the deal? Can you touch them? Will it kill you, or what happens with the lionfish?
They don't. They could probably sting you, and I mean, you don't want that kind of an incident on a 10-day diving trip. So you'd rather. I didn't try, but that's a good question. Probably I'm going
I
to
think that's
forward this to my
one of those
instructor.
prank shows. What about barracuda and sharks? Do they have those there?
So we did. I did see a handful of sharks. In fact, not in Egypt, but I saw them in Maldives earlier this year when I was there for a holiday. And they say that Egypt also has some great points where you can see some sharks, but not for me. I didn't see it the last time I went. Hopefully the next time.
Yeah, we have a lot of those. I'm down in my place in Florida right now, and last week I was down in Key West, and I've seen fins in the water, just like in the movies. And I've been in a situation where there's on the Gulf of Mexico, there's a little lagoon and there's a pipe that goes through. So there's saltwater crocodiles, American crocodiles there, and also bull sharks. And I don't know if you know about the bull sharks, but they're pretty aggressive, and they wait for the fish to come through this little tunnel, and they grab them when they're coming through. It's exciting. Uh, so tell me a little bit about. I mean, you've done a lot of different things in your life. It's amazing. So you went to R.A. Podar College, but then how in the world did you go from, uh, where you were in college, through to the football league, to Reachberry Ventures, to being a disc jockey? Now, how in the world did you become a disc jockey?
So I remember in college I was an active participant in a lot of these inter college festivals, and we have it's quite a big deal over here. So I used to actively participate, and one of the years when I was a junior, one of my seniors just put my name in for a DJ contest, and they were like, look. I know you don't know how to DJ, but we're going to get participation points anyway. So I mean, just go on stage and show your face. And I thought it wasn't a big deal, but I jumped on stage to see about 4,000 people out there, and that got me curious. Of
Was
course,
it fun? Was it fun in front of 4,000 people? Did you feel like Freddie Mercury, or what happened? So how was it?
Not really, not really, because I that was the first time I was seeing a DJ console because I had no idea, before that how to DJ, and I got booed off stage that time. But that probably, I took that on as a challenge, and precisely 3 years later, we were headlining that festival. We were playing the main set, the main DJ set at that festival, and with a little more than 4,000 people, and only this time I didn't get booed. So
Well, you got
I
booed
mean, I
off.
can.
How was that to get booed off the stage? What did it feel like?
It was embarrassing, but I think I got the points for my college, so I was proud at the end of the day.
That's great. That's amazing. Well, you got to always see opportunity in adversity. That's great. And so you did that. That's amazing. And then you went to one-to-one music LP, uh, and you were doing mass production, you're mass producer, music producer, and a disc jockey. Okay, so how did you get to the point where you're at Patronus in an early stage venture firm? How did you move to each one of these different companies? They're so diverse and in some senses diametrically opposed.
So, for me, it started off as a passion, music, and then it turned into a profession. We quickly saw, ourselves playing big music festivals and nightclubs across the country and even globally. But, I think passion or any creative field has a shelf life, and probably, we reached ours by the end of it. Also, there were some larger responsibilities coming our way with, regards to our core business and an extension of our business, which is now the family office. So that's, when responsibility struck me, I started learning. And for me it's a paradigm shift because I was really bad at numbers, in college and school, and immediately out of college I started getting a little curious with finance, and now I'm here. Yeah, I'm handling two funds on my own. So it's
Now, how
I
big
think
are
it's
these
been a
Pranav? How big are the funds?
they're early stage funds. So, I mean, these are the family office primarily would be about 2.5 million. Patronus, which is my recently formed micro VC, is relatively smaller than that. But I think the agenda across both these funds are relatively different. So, well, we're not only looking at capital investments, we're also looking at you know proactively partnering or collaborating with these founders, learning a lot on the way, and of course using our network to probably unlock growth for them.
And so, how long has it been in existence? So Patronus you've only had for 6 months, correct?
Yeah, about more or less.
And how long? How about the family office? How long has that been? You've been working with the family office.
So while the family office has been there for a considerable time now, it's been 2 years for me. Considering the learning experience, the journey, and of course making the first few investment decisions, it's been about 2.5 years. But
Wow.
the funds have yeah.
What about what's going on with the startup ecosystem in India right now? How do the are they? Are you seeing a lot of the pre-seed and seed companies and what's the future look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, you know this as well. It is now India is the third largest startup ecosystem, globally, and of course, rapidly growing even further. Just recently, we hit about 82 unicorns, out of which about 50% of these were, received unicorn status only this year. So, I mean, that speaks heaps about, the growth trajectory that the country is on in terms of the startup ecosystem. Talking about seed and pre-seed and early stage startups, there's tremendous amount of potential. You see new ideas, uh, new founders, very ambitious founders born every day. I mean, we see ideas thrown at us every day, and some of which we couldn't even think existed. So it there's tremendous potential.
And what's the difference? How do you go? So you're in Mumbai now. So how do you search for companies in other regions? Are you just focused on Mumbai?
Not essentially. So while Mumbai Bangalore and Delhi seem to be at the center of this movement. You see a lot of action now happening out of the smaller cities as well, which include, Ahmedabad, and you have Indore, and you have Chandigarh, and a bunch of other cities. So, the quickest way to get in touch is I like to keep ourselves extremely accessible. I love speaking with founders because, it's a great learning experience for me as well. So I mean, we're extremely accessible. If someone has an idea, they have my email address, they have different ways to get in touch, and we make sure that we're as responsive as possible. So I think the accessibility makes a huge difference.
No, that's great. And what about in terms of the types of companies, Pranav? What are you seeing now? What kind of companies? So if you could take the top three, companies, what's number one in terms of your opinion? What do they look like? Are they AI B2B and focused on what? What do you see? Fintech.
I put in India, if you see the if you see the potential in India right now, what's doing particularly well is the edtech space, especially edtech for rural India. You see massive consolidation happening in that space. In addition to that, even fintech for that matter, especially again fintech for rural India, massive consolidation, great valuations. I think great kind of top lines in that space as well. But Gary, speaking about this, while a lot of the larger funds or a lot of more organized VCs might have a very restrictive investment thesis for us, I think we've adopted an extremely open approach. We're completely sector agnostic. I'd love to listen to ideas, right from the consumer space until deep tech or space tech, because I think everything interests me. So, but speaking about good sectors, I think the ed tech and the fintech space are doing extremely well right now in the country.
No, that's
And
great.
there's the emergence of the D2C space as well. You see a tremendous upside on the D2C space simply because the internet is also rapidly picking up pace even in the smaller areas of the country. So D2C is also rapidly picking up right now.
And so, that's right, the democratization opportunity. And so, if you look at it, I mean, what's the current population today of India? 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion. I mean, I know it was a little over a billion, but what is it today? Do you know?
Uh, from what I hear in the news, it's 1.2 billion, but I'm sure it's considerably more than that.
Yeah, I know it's growing. And it's interesting. It's amazing to me because there's so many intellectuals, so much of a focus on education and technology. I mean, doctors. I mean, and IT professionals. It's just amazing. It's like a sweet spot. We work a lot with IIT. Tell us a little bit about, from your perspective. I mean, IIT. You hear when you look at some of the top companies in the United States, the CEOs are from IIT. Why is that?
Um, well, Gary, you've brought back a memory. In fact, I'd appeared for the IIT exam back in the day, about almost a decade back, and I didn't clear it. But I think it's a perspective that an IIT or the Indian Institute of Management, the IIM pass out, would definitely be a better fit in a founder role. But I think something concrete behind that is the fact that there is a proven track record of the hard work they've exhibited across such competitive exams, both of which are some of amongst the most competitive exams in the world. So when you're an IIT or IIM pass out, I think you've automatically proven yourself to be a hard worker. But I think I've seen some tremendous founder potential in founders coming out of institutes apart from these as well. So while that bias remains, I think globally and within the country, I think that's slowly changing.
Yeah, no, I got it. And what do you think? What is the what do you see happening over the next 2 to 3 years in India with the ecosystem?
I think we're in the center of something great right now, and this that there couldn't be a better time. In fact, the last couple of years themselves have been have proven in terms of metrics what the growth trajectory for the country is and can be. Also, I think in terms of solutions, a few years back, a lot of solutions that were used in India were either brought from abroad or were at the time located abroad. But now what you see is the country is adopting more homemade solutions, which naturally is going to be a pro for the whole startup ecosystem and for opportunity as a whole. So I feel the next 2-3 years are going to enable or rather encourage people to participate in this wave, to I think create beautiful products and beautiful services. And that's I think by 2030 you're going to see this as the center of the startup ecosystem, or maybe even earlier.
No, that's amazing. Well, like you said, the number three country in the world and growing like crazy because it's just incredible technologists. What's the how has COVID been impacting the startup ecosystem, Pranav? Are there lockdowns now with COVID again, or what's happening with that?
So while I think the situation is still extremely serious, and the pandemic has played an important role in a positive or negative, of course, manner. I think India is relatively safer as against public misconception. It's still relatively safer as a lot of countries probably in in Europe or Africa or in the South America. So while it is serious, it's not accelerated again to that level. When it did, yes, I think revenues were massively hit because of the pandemic. And of course, as a consequence of which the startup ecosystem had slowed down. But I think we've picked up pace, and how this year has been wonderful. Investments are back on track. You see more and more people engaging with startups, not only investors but even advisors, even partners. Everyone is looking at a collaborative movement with this ecosystem. So I think we're back on track pretty much.
No, that's great. And well, and tools like Zoom and StreamYard and all these Google Meets and all these different tools that are out there to really help us to be able to connect and to be able to keep the startups moving forward. I mean, the toughest thing I hear from the startups is, how do I get in front of these investors when they don't know me, right? And it used to be you would have a one-on-one meeting like with yourself, right? How many times do you meet them in person now compared to 2 years ago, right? How is that? It's changed a bit.
Gary, you'll be surprised. In the last 2 years, I've only done 4 physical meetings with startup founders. That's it. And the last 2 years I think I've seen a considerable amount of opportunities, but I've met only 4 prospective founders. Of course, we try to meet all our startup founders once we have something at bay. But in terms of pitches, I think the last 2 years I've done only 4 physical meetings. So, I mean, you'll be surprised. But I think that's also good, right? Because, you're saving a lot of time. You're saving a lot of travel. And I think it's just
saving
more
a lot
time
of money because
efficient.
you don't have to spend the money on those trips. So how far out do you go, Pranav? So do you go to cities throughout India today? So in terms of, even though you're not physically there, do you go to cities? So are you in Madras or Hyderabad, or do you go to those cities in terms of looking for the startups, or do they come from you? How do you get them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the premise of, meeting founders for us has been participating with a lot of these incubators and accelerators and, LPs across the country who we have great relations with. So, I have been on the panel for some of these IIM, startup competitions, and, some from IIT as well, which I think provides startup founders with a great background to meet, early stage investors. Also for us, the great prospects in terms of, investments and collaboration. And, for us, I think primarily as a family business who's into manufacturing, we're constantly looking at newer technology, which, not only could we invest in, but we could also collaborate with to probably scale our business technologically as well. So I think, we have multiple motives behind our presence in the whole venture capital ecosystem. And I think that also makes it easier to source or to meet newer founders.
What kind of business is a family in? What type of manufacturing, Pranav?
So primarily we're into textile machinery manufacturing. We make shuttle and shuttleless looms, on which, of course, the cloth is made. And we also are present in the foundry ecosystem. So we make, casting and bearing for various Indian and global organizations. So that remains the core of our business. And an extension of it is the MABS family office, where we look at opportunities across real estate, retail, and again in the startup ecosystem as well.
Interesting. All right, listen, we're coming to the end of the show. So, final thoughts and how do people reach you?
Just get in touch with me. I'm totally fine sharing my email address on the show. It's pranav at mabsindia.com. You could also drop me a message on LinkedIn, and I try to be as responsive as possible. And yeah, or if you're friends with Gary, then that's a one up. So
I love that. I love that. No, that's fantastic. And you're doing a great job, Pranav. And we know we need to keep the world moving forward. We got to solve a lot of the complex problems that we have out there today. And we need to work together. We need to collaborate because we're just at the beginning of the dawn of this incredible era. We're going to have data around us and we're going to have tools and machine learning and deep learning to be able to solve a lot of problems, to live longer, to live better, and to live more interesting lives. So it's companies like the ones that are in India that are going to help drive that forward throughout the world. And we're counting on each and every participant to be able to drive. With that, I'd like to say thanks to my audience for tuning in one more time to GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And I'm your host, Gary Fowler. Stay tuned because I'll be back with another edition this Thursday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay happy. And I'll talk to you again on Thursday. Thanks, Pranav. I really appreciate you taking your time today.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, have a happy new year. Bye-bye.
You too.